Hello, hello, my lovelies. Just as promised, here is your review video. So, earlier we did a video on statistical and non statistical questions, and then it also included the mean and the median. So, I am not going to redo those. If you need to review that, please go back to that video, okay? Um, but real briefly, statistical, non-statistical questions. Statistical, more than one answer. Non-statistical, only one answer. Mean, same thing as average. You add all your data set, the numbers in your data set together, count how many numbers it is, and divide it by that. And then your median, also known as the middle. Median is also the middle. So we know that the first thing that we do is line them up or order them from least to greatest. And then if it's an odd number, we simply look for the number that is directly in the middle. If it is an even amount of numbers, then we look for the two numbers that are in the middle, add them together, divide them by 2, and there you have your median. So again, if you need a thorough review of statistical, non-statistical, mean, and median, please go back and review the other video where we go more in depth with it there. But today, I want to talk about or review the second part of what we learned when it came down to our statistics unit. And that was we then learned mode, we learned range, and we learned about this, oh my goodness, oh so tedious task called the box and whisker plots, right? So here it is, the mode. Very, very easy. Mode, the most. That's all it is. When we are talking about the mode, we are talking about the what helps me remember, it sounds like doing the most. So it's the number that's doing the most. What do I mean by that? You are going to be given a data set. And in this case, we are working with 9, 10, 12, 13, 13, 13, 15, 15, and 16. Of course, Ms. Ramey has already done you the favor of putting them in order from least to greatest because we know that with everything, we put it in order from least to greatest. The only time that doesn't really apply is when we are doing the mean, right? Okay, cool. So I've already put them in order from least to greatest. And now what I am looking for is the number that appears in this data set the most. So in this case, we have 3 13s. 13 appears in this data set the most. Therefore, the mode for this is 13. So remember, the mode is simply the number that appears the most. And then we move on to the range. The range is simply the difference between the largest number and the smallest number. Now, if we go back to our mathematical terminology, we know that difference means subtraction, right? So if we're talking about the difference between our largest number and our smallest number in the data set, then we are simply going to subtract. So using the same data set, it's already in order from least to greatest. We are going to take our largest number, which is 16, and subtract our smallest number, which is 9. And so the range will be 7. Simple, right? 16 minus 9 is 7. I hope. Am I right? Y'all check me. Am I right? Okay, good. So the range is simply you take the biggest number, the largest number, subtract the smallest number, and then there you have it, the range. That's all. Okay, and then I know your favorite one is the one that we have worked on throughout this week. Let me try to get you a little bit closer and get it a little bit clearer for you. And that is the box and whisker plot. Oh my goodness, Miss Rainey. So we know that when it comes to working with the box and whisker plot, there is some information that we need. And the information that is needed to be able to construct this is what we know as the 5-number summary. Well, what is included in the 5-number summary? Well, we know that obviously it's 5 things because it's a 5-number summary. Well, just as a quick review, the 5-number summary gives, we need the minimum, we need those things that we call quartiles. So minimum, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and the maximum. And just as a little side note, please don't forget that quartile 2 is the same thing as what? Right. the median. Quartile 2 is also known as the median or the middle. So we are going to use this same set of data, okay? We're going to use 9, 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 12, 13, 13, 13, 15, 15, and 16. So with that, we look at our data and we say, okay, what is the minimum? The minimum is the smallest number. So the smallest number in this data set is 9. Got it. That part's easy, right? Next, we're going to jump on down here to the maximum. What is the maximum number or the largest number? So the largest number in this data set is 16. Cool, got it. Winning. The next thing we are going to find is our median, the middle or quartile 2. And the way we do that is we simply find the median from all of these numbers. So they're already in order from least to greatest. I'm now going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is 9 numbers. Since it is 9 numbers, 9 is an odd number. I am simply going to look for the number that is directly in the middle. And that is this number 13 right here. So the median or quartile 2 is 13. So now that we have our median, what we want to do, since this is an odd amount of numbers, we want to keep the median separated and put a parenthesis around the rest of the numbers that we have to work with. Oops, right here. Okay, and this is known as our lower half of the data set, and this is known as the upper half of the data set. We use the lower half to find quartile 1, and we use the upper half to find quartile 3. And the way that we find these quartiles is, you got it, finding the median again. So we're going to find the median of the lower half first. In this particular situation, we actually have an even amount of numbers. So as I stated earlier, when we have an even amount of numbers, we find the two numbers that are in the middle. In this case, it is 10 and 12, and we add them together. So 10 plus 12 equals 22. And then we divide 22 by 2. 22 divided by 2 gives us good old 11. So quartile 1 is 11. Okay? Now we are going to come over here to the upper half, and we're going to now find the median of the upper half. And we notice again, it's an even number, it's 4 numbers, so that's an even amount of numbers. So we're going to take the two numbers in the middle, add them together. So 15 plus 15 is going to give us 30. And 30 divided by 2, you got it, is 15. So our quartile 3, and turn you back so you can see, is 15. Okay? So now we have all of the information that we need to actually construct or draw our box and whisker plot. And if you notice, look, Miss Rangy tried to draw the line a little bit straight for the ball. So y'all should give me a round of applause. Okay, so with that being said, we now have all the information that we need. So what we're going to do now is construct our box and whisker plot. The way to do that is we're going to start off with the information for quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. We are going to draw vertical lines, vertical going up and down, remember? Vertical lines at the 11, which is quartile 1, at the 13, which is the median, and at the 15. So here we go. Quartile 1 is, I hope y'all can see this. This is 11. Okay, remember, with our number line, this is the one time that we do not draw directly on the number line. We want to do it above it, okay, so that our box and whisker can be concise, so that we can see it clearly. Okay, so we got 11. Our median is 13, so that's 11, 12, here's 13 here. And then quartile 3 is 15. So that's about Yeah. Okay, I know that my drawing still is not perfect, but I'm saying, y'all know how this works. Okay, so we have our three vertical lines. It is our three vertical lines that is going to allow us to now construct our box. So the box portion of our box and whisker plot. Okay, so now we have a nicely drawn box, and we got that using quartile 1, 2, and 3. So now we have to do the whiskers because remember it is a box and whisker plot. We use the minimum and the maximum numbers to give us our whiskers. So the minimum number is 9. So we're going to come right here to 9, and we are simply going to make us a good little mark at 9, and then draw our whisker. Boom. Okay? And then we're going to come over here to 16, make us a nice little mark at 16, and draw our whisker. Boom. And so there we have constructed a box and whisker plot. So just as a quick review of what we just talked about today is we have talked about the mode. The mode we know that is the number that appears the most. So in this particular situation, 13 appeared the most, 13 was the mode. The range is simply the difference between the largest number and the smallest number in your data set. So in this particular data set, 16 was the largest, 9 was the lowest. So we took 16, subtracted 9, and our range was then 7. And then we moved over here to the box and whisker plot, and we knew that we had to find our 5-number summary. That is the key component to us being able to construct our box and whisker plot. We used the same set of data, and we found the minimum, the quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and the maximum, remembering that quartile 2 is the same thing as the median. Using that data, we found the minimum number or the smallest number, which was 9. We found the largest number or the maximum number, which is 16. And then we found the median. This was an odd amount of numbers, so the median was right smack in the middle, 13. From that, we used the numbers that were left over, and we found the median of the lower half of the data set, and then we found the median of the upper half of the data set. All right, and what that came out to be was 11 and 15. From there, we took quartile 1, 2, and 3, drew vertical lines on their respective places on the number line, made our box from those numbers, and then we used our minimum and maximum to give us our whiskers. Now, just one more thing I want to address really, really fast before I let you go and before I get out of here is this. Many would say, well, Miss Raby, what happens when we have an even amount of numbers, right? What happens if we have an even amount of numbers? That is in a data set, and we're doing box and whisker plots. That is a very good question. So here is what happens if you were to have an even amount of numbers. Let's just start. Okay, so in this case, we're going to put this 13 back. And I'm just going to add 18. So now that gives us 10 numbers. So the same thing we will have to find initially. We will find the minimum. The maximum, of course, in this case, would now change to 18 because that's the highest number. And then we're going to find the median. So since this is an even amount of numbers, we are going to take the two numbers in the middle. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the two numbers in the middle are 13. 13 and 13. So same thing, we're going to add 13 and 13 together. And that's going to give us 26. Divide by 2, of course, that is 13. So the median, of course, would be 13. Cool, no problem. Get that. Now, that doesn't always happen. Your two middle numbers are not always the same number. So don't just assume because it's two middle numbers, it's going to be like 13. So we know that the median is 13. Good. Change. Oh, it was always 13, huh? Now, I talked about when we have an odd amount of numbers. Remember the 13, we simply underlined it because we knew that was the median. And then we put parentheses around all of the other numbers that we had left over to work with. Well, we're still going to put our parentheses around the numbers, but this time we're simply going to, since it's 10 numbers, we're going to count 5 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll put parentheses here, and then the other 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, parentheses here. So now this is your upper half, and this is your lower half. And everything else stays the same. You still now find the median for this side, and you find the median for this side. Now it's made easy because now you're working with an odd number, so you're easy to simply just pull out the number directly in the middle. So quartile 1 in this case would become 12. Quartile 3 in this case would still be 15, which is cool. Okay, so if it is, and the point I was trying to point out, when you're working with an even number, you still use these two middle numbers to find your median, but then you split your data set in half per se and find median of the lower half, median of the upper half. Okay, I hope that helps you. I hope that you really take the time to review this. I tried to keep it pretty short. We're going at about 16, 17 minutes. So with that being said, have a good day and be ready for Thursday. Thank you.